There is one game we all play, and that game is called real life. Not everyone is good at it, but some of us are. Real life is an open world game with endless possibilities. And after all, only the uncultured spend their day-to-day life in just one country. So join me in my life of leisure as I explore the best games for the handheld around the world. After spending a while in the United States, I have now decided to spend a few weeks in Canada so that I can have a little holiday and get away from all the gun-wielding lunatics. I am now in the calm yet modern city of Toronto. So today I am here to talk about Megaman. As I have previously mentioned on my channel, the Blue Bomber series of games are amongst my favourites in existence. I have loved them ever since I was a child. Unfortunately for Megaman, however, I was in the minority in Europe, as each game in the series saw very limited release and came with very little in the way of fanfare. No one else in my class at school had even heard of Megaman when I used to bring him up. I guess they were all too distracted by that other blue blur. After all, gotta go fast! Anyway, my obsession with Megaman has led me to the extremely tall task of finding and purchasing every European release of Megaman and Megaman X on the NES, SNES and PlayStation. I have even gone to the trouble of finding all of these complete in box. PAL copies of Megaman games are some of the most sought after games on my continent, as hardly anyone bought any back in the day. So when it comes to pricing, I do not even want to talk about how much some of these games go for today. Okay, I'll give you a hint anyway. Megaman X3 on the SNES, complete in box, goes for about 2,000 Canadian dollars. If you do not understand Canadian dollars, then go on bloody Google. Jaguar, do the math! Anyway, for those who have still not played much Megaman, so for most of you back home in the UK, there are loads of bloody different Megaman series. Megaman Legends, Megaman ZX, Megaman Star Force, Megaman Zero, Megaman Battle Network, the list goes on and on. This franchise was huge in Japan. However, the two series I love are Simple Megaman and Megaman X. The original Megaman series is predominantly 8-bit, and the first 6 games were all on the Nintendo Entertainment System. The second series, Megaman X, started out on the SNES with 3 amazing entries in the series, then later transitioned to the Sony PlayStation and PlayStation 2. Megaman X took advantage of the Super Nintendo's more complex controls and vastly expanded Megaman's moveset by adding the fun as hell wall jumps and air dashes. I love the X series so much. To me, they are gaming bliss, and for me personally, I have never found games in which are their equals. So, year 2000 comes around, and we now have a plethora of quality Megaman X games on the Super Nintendo and PlayStation. But whilst all this was going on, a lot of us would have missed Megaman Xtreme for the Gameboy Color. The Gameboy Color was an extremely simple 8-bit system, so games from the original Megaman series would have suited this system perfectly. However, Megaman creators Capcom decided they were going to push the envelope and release a bloody 8-bit Megaman X game. Somehow at this time, I missed this one myself. I guess I was too busy playing Pokemon at the time to play anything else, but that hasn't stopped me playing through the entire game today. Megaman Xtreme takes place within the series timeline during the 22nd century, in which a group of maverick androids called the Shadow Hunters hack into the world's mother computer system, destabilising all the networks and allowing other mavericks to cause rampant destruction all over the world. The heroic Maverick Hunter, Megaman X, is tasked with going into cyberspace to relive his past missions and put a stop to the group's plans. Essentially, this story is just a cheap plot device to port old levels from Megaman X and Megaman X2 over to the Game Boy Color. However, I suppose I should give them credit for coming up with a story to do all this. Most developers would have probably done it anyway, without any logic behind it. Megaman Xtreme contains the same gameplay as its home console counterparts. It is an action platform game, and the player must attempt a series of stages, gain various power-ups such as armour parts, and defeat each stage's boss, assimilating its signature weapon. The game features stages, enemies and bosses from both Mega Man X and Mega Man X2, so generally, if the game is just a mashup of the two previous games, then why bloody play it? Well, here is why. Whilst Mega Man Xtreme may be a retread, it is an extremely well done retread. The game is obviously limited by being on a Game Boy, but to me, that is now half the game's charm. It is interesting to see a Mega Man X game receive an impressive 8-bit remake and still function fairly well as a Mega Man X game. The fantastic music is all back, and it sounds so good to hear faithful 8-bit takes on the iconic 16-bit tunes that powered the SNES games, and even the level designs are all bloody close to the originals. 8 of the Mavericks from the first 2 installments are back too. Personally, I have noticed that they all appear to be much tougher to fight than in the originals, which can only be a good thing really, considering how easy some of those bosses were. Spark Mandrill, for example, no longer has the infamous Spark Mandrill problem, which you can just freeze him on the spot to death. Instead, he is a challenging little boss fight. Yeah! Apart from improved boss battles, the game even has minor details added that were not there before. Like for example, X's leg now bobs when sliding down a wall, and he exposes the palms of his hands when decelerating at the end of a dash. If you look at the Mega Man games on the original Game Boy, you will notice that the environments are a little more compact because Mega Man's sprite takes up more space, so he's easier to see on a small screen. Now with a new colourful screen, Mega Man Xtreme on the other hand decides to ditch this convention out of necessity really, as boss characters are generally larger than X's in most cases. You may be a tad worried about handling the smaller sprite, but no need as the game handles this well. The controls for the game are extremely tight and impressive. Surprisingly, you can do everything with Mega Man X on the Game Boy Color that you could do with him on the SNES. The way they have implemented this is that when you get the dash upgrade, all your forward jumps off walls are automatically supercharged to make up for the fact it would be impossible to hit dash and jump simultaneously due to the control setup. There's also an auto charge and auto fire option that helps your thumb from becoming sore. Ouch! To summarise, Mega Man Xtreme is a solid game to add to any expanding Game Boy collection. Unlike its console counterparts, this one is nice and cheap, and literally anyone can afford it. Again, there is a great amount of retread here, but when isn't there bloody retread in a Mega Man X game? Alright, fair enough, it is one of the less important Mega Man X games, but Mega Man Xtreme is an extremely impressive side note nonetheless. Seeing Mega Man X in 8-bit is enough reason alone to play this one in my opinion. For those who no longer have their Game Boys, you can even pick this game up from the Nintendo 3DS eShop, so you can enjoy this one on your larger modern screens. Right, I do not really have anything profound left to say, so I'm off to explore and follow the only road in Canadia. I'm not your buddy. Cheerio!